Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. My name is Malescu and I am the owner of Malescu law firm based in Miami, Florida, specializing in business, corporate and US immigration. We can assist you with all your immigration needs regardless of where you are currently located or where you plan to go in the United States. Today we are going to speak about the skilled worker visa for the United States. We are specifically going to speak about visa options for skilled workers, but we are not going to speak about green cards options for skilled workers. We are going to speak about the most popular visa for skilled workers, the H-1B visa, but also about other relevant skilled workers visa for the United States. But before we get started, please subscribe to our channel by clicking the bell button or the subscribe button. The H-1B visa is the most popular skilled worker visa for the United States. Typically, to apply for an H-1B visa, you need to participate in an H-1B visa lottery, which usually takes place after mid-March of each year and up until the end of March, when US employers file entry into the visa lottery for the potential employees. There are 65,000 H-1B visas available each fiscal year for those of you who have at least a bachelor's degree, and 20,000 H-1B visas available per fiscal year for those of you who hold at least a master's degree. Because there is more demand for the H-1B visas than the number of visas available per fiscal year, the government has set in place a visa lottery, and that is why you have to participate. If you would like to apply for an H-1B visa, you first have to participate in the H-1B visa lottery in March of each year, and if you get selected in the H-1B visa lottery, then you can proceed, your employer can proceed with the application. However, H-1B visas for universities, non-profit employers or other governmental employers are CAP exempt, meaning that those employers can file applications for H-1B visas at any time during the year because they are CAP exempt and they do not need to participate in the H-1B visa lottery. So again, not every employer must participate in the H-1B visa lottery in order to be able to bring a skilled employee to the United States on the H-1B visa. There are certain employers who are exempt from the cap, the H-1B visa cap, and can actually sponsor H-1B visas throughout the year. In order to qualify for an H-1B visa, you must have at least a bachelor's degree or its foreign equivalent and come to work in the United States in a specialty occupation, and that is an occupation that typically requires a bachelor's degree, at least a bachelor's degree, in order to qualify, and your employer usually requires the bachelor's degree for the position. The employer must obtain a labor condition application from the U.S. Department of Labor that determines the prevailing wage for the position, but also protects the U.S. workers. After the employer obtains the LCA, the employer can file Form I-129 with supporting documents and the certified labor condition application with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Aside from the H-1B visa, there are other relevant skilled worker visas for the United States, and these include 1. L1A intra-company transferee visa. You can qualify for an L1 visa if you have worked abroad for 1 year in the past 3 years prior to application in an executive, manager, or specialized knowledge employee position for the foreign affiliate, subsidiary, or parent company of the US office, and they are sending you to the United States to work for the US affiliate, subsidiary, or parent company of your foreign office. 2. TN visa. TN visa is only available to Canadians and Mexican citizens who are applying to work in certain professions that are listed on the NAFTA professions list. So you need to check the NAFTA professions list and see if your profession would qualify for a TN visa. Of course, you must be a Canadian citizen or a Mexican citizen in order to qualify for the TN visa. Now keep in mind there are many professions there that you will see listed, including nurses, accountants, engineers, lawyers, and so on and so forth, teachers as well, graphic designer, and many more. So check the NAFTA professions list to see if your profession would qualify for the TN visa. And of course, you have the required degree or experience to qualify for the TN visa under your specific profession. 3. Another visa is the O1 visa for those of you who have extraordinary ability or achievement in the sciences, arts, education, athletics, business, motion picture, or television industry. You will find a list with the criteria for this type of visa on the United States Citizenship and Immigration website, and there you can see the criteria you need to meet in order to qualify for this type of visa. For J1 visa, this is for exchange visitors, including professors, researchers, doctors, and students. It is typically used for the purpose of academic and cultural exchange. And finally, E2. E2 is a treaty investor visa. It is a non-immigrant visa that allows those of you who are making an investment in a U.S. business to come and live and work in the United States in order to develop and direct the U.S. business. The E2 visa is only available to those of you who have citizenships from the E2 treaty countries. So you must be a citizen of an E2 treaty country in order to qualify for the E2 visa. Please keep in mind that the E2 treaty investor visa is not the same as the EB5 immigrant investor program. The immigrant investor program, the EB5 immigrant investor program, requires that you invest a substantial amount of capital, that is $1,050,000 in urban or low unemployment area, or $800,000 in U.S. businesses in rural or high unemployment area. The E2 treaty investor visa is a non-immigrant visa. It does require you to invest capital, but not the same amount of capital as the EB5 immigrant investor program, which is a green card. So the E2 treaty investor visa is not a green card, it is a non-immigrant visa, and you typically need to invest anywhere from 50 at the minimum, you can invest from $50,000, $100,000 or more, while the EB5 immigrant investor program, which is a green card program, requires that you invest substantially more money than for the E2 treaty investor visa. The skilled worker visa process is complex and time consuming and varies based on the type of visa you apply for. So you first need to consider your options, what options you have in terms of the skilled worker visas available to you, and see what type of visa you can apply for. And then you will need to gather all your documents to support that visa application. And after all that is done, you will submit the required application, typically with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services in certain cases, such as the H-1B. But in the case with H-1B, you will also have at times the visa lottery. If your employer is subject to the cap, you would have to be selected in the lottery, and then your employer will need to file a labor condition application, and only after that is approved, you would file an application. The employer will file an application with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services on Form I-129. But if your employer is cap exempt and is filing for an H-1B, then they can proceed with filing for the labor condition application, and thereafter on Form I-129 with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. With other visas, you do not have to go through a lottery, such as with the O1 visa, the L1 visa, or the TN visa. In certain cases, for example, Canadian citizens can apply for TN visa directly at the port of entry with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the port of entry, but Mexican citizens, for example, will have to go through the U.S. consulate. Visas such as the O1 visa or the L1 visa requires an application on Form I-129 with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, but there you can pay an additional fee and have the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services process the application within 15 business days in exchange for that additional fee you pay to them. So as you can see, there are differences in the processes with all these visas. Other visas such as the E2 Treaty Investor Visa, you typically apply for it directly with the U.S. consulate in your country of citizenship or your country of residence. And in certain cases, you may be able to do a change of status to an E2 investor visa. But all the processes regarding the skilled worker visa for the United States differ from each other, and you will need to plan ahead of time and understand the process for the type of visa you are applying for. This is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, and if you need to get in touch with us, you have our contact information in this video and below this video. We will see you soon. Bye.